So, warm welcome to everybody to today's episode of Weekly Wisdom. I wanted to start by just explaining what it is that we're going to do today. Today's session is about understanding why we don't set goals, why it's important that we should set goals, even if we've failed in the past. There was an archery teacher, who had a class of students, and he had been practicing with them indoors for some time. And finally, one day he said, "Okay, students, come with me. We're going outside to the forest." So all the students were so excited. They were just like buzzing, they were chattering amongst each other. And the archery teacher, he told one of the students, "Take this target and take it somewhere in the put it somewhere in the distance." And he turned around so he couldn't see where it was. And then he told another student, "Blindfold me." So the students, you can imagine their excitement. They were like, "Oh my God, our teacher is going to shoot this target blindfold. Like, what magic is he using? Is there some, I don't know, some secret mantra or something that he's chanting, and he's going to teach us that? So we're going to be able to do that." We're so excited. So then after being blindfolded, the student came back and told his teacher that he had placed the target there. And at this point, the archery teacher turned around. He took out an arrow from his quiver, placed it on the bow, and he pulled the string back fully and aimed. Now you have to remember, he's blindfolded. So he pulled the string right back, and then he released the arrow. The arrow flew through the sky, air, and completely missed the target. So the students were like, oh, that was a bit strange. Like, what was that about? So then the teacher took the blindfold off and said, "You can't hit a target that you can't see." And so this, my friends, this is related to what are we talking about today? That if we fail to plan, then prepare to fail. Plan to fail. If we fail to plan, then plan to fail. Because even if we didn't achieve our goals last year, even if we didn't achieve our goals the year before, it's still important to set goals. It's still important to plan. And that archery teacher is teaching us why. So in case you haven't met me before, my name is Nij Day. I'm a motivational speaker, I'm a relationship coach, and I'm a certified hypnotherapist. And my mission with these weekly wisdoms is to help people like you to raise your game, because you're obviously here because you've got that hunger to learn, you want to better yourself, and obviously you want to go after your dreams. So I'm running these sessions to feed that hunger and to keep that engine of success going. So let me just say this. I know sometimes people like to take screenshots and then post on social media. That's absolutely fine. But I just request that if you do take a screenshot, especially of the slide, then don't edit the slide so it's just a quote or something like that. Keep the entire slide there, because we want people to know about Weekly Wisdom. You know, I'm happy for you to share it on social media and tell people, join the Weekly Wisdom. Let's spread the love. Let's help others to raise their game too. So with that said, let's get stuck into today's session. So what we're going to cover today is why you need to set goals even if you failed last year. Then we're going to look at how to write those goals correctly and why this way of setting goals actually works. And then we'll have a Q&A at the end. So let's start with the first question. Why do we need to set goals? Why is it still important to set goals even though we failed in previous years? So we do give very valid sounding reasons, and I call them excuses, sorry. So tell me in the chat, what are the reasons why you didn't set goals, why you haven't set goals? Obviously, if you have set goals, that's a different matter. Maybe if you have set goals and you haven't achieved them in the past, why are you still writing goals? So if you haven't set goals, tell me why you haven't set goals. And if you have written goals, even though you haven't achieved them in the past, why are you still writing goals? Be interesting to hear. So please use the chat and write away. I set goals to feel motivated, but I don't set big goals because of fear of failure and self-disappointment. Yes, isn't that one of the key ones? It's these negative emotions that come along with setting goals and then not achieving them. I never used to set goals or plan for the future. I used to just go with the flow, take each day as it comes. Then I realized if I do not plan my life, somebody else will. Yes, very good. I want to run my life, live it the way I want it, somehow writing my wishes down, make them more likely to come true. Very nice. So for some people, you can see there is the fear of failure. There are those negative emotions that come. I know there's some people who have set goals and then they didn't even try, like they just flopped completely. So that feeling of just complete, it's almost like a feeling of complete failure, and that pain just makes them say, you know what, I'm not even going to bother to set goals. I didn't even start, I didn't even take it one step towards that goal. So what's the point? I get it. So this is where we need to pause, and we need to understand why. Even if you set goals, even if you're enthusiastic to set goals and you didn't achieve them last year and you're still doing it, that's great. But now let's make it more streamlined so that setting those goals actually works, shall we say. There's a format, there's a way in which we need to do it. So why is it that we're failing? Let's look at that. And let's get to the crux of the issue. Now, when people tell me that they're lazy or they're just procrastinators, often I know the person personally, and sometimes they'll say, "Yeah, I'm really lazy." Like there's one person here in a chat box who said that they're lazy, and I know that person, and that person is not lazy. There is an underlying issue that is going on, because the soul naturally is alive. It wants to achieve things. It has desires and it wants to achieve those desires. Of course, through the disappointment of over the years, it's natural to just procrastinate. It's natural just to go, oh, what's the point? And call yourself lazy. But even calling yourself lazy, I'm going to say, is an excuse. Hiding behind the real issue. So what is the real issue? So this is adapted from James T. McKay. We promise ourselves that tomorrow will be different. How many of us have done that? We promise ourselves that next year is going to be different. 2024 is going to be different. How many of us, after 1 month, have already started thinking, you know what, 2024 is going to be exactly the same as 2023. This year is going to be exactly the same. We promise ourselves that tomorrow, next year will be different, yet tomorrow is too often a repetition of today. And that is because, my dear friends, we are creatures of habit. We are creatures of habit. Even every time we snooze that alarm, that starts to become a habit. And one of the classic examples of we are creatures of habit, even though there's so much pain involved, one of the classic examples that I can remember is when I was at university and some of my friends would wake up on a Saturday morning and they would just have the worst headache, the worst hangover, and just like, oh, why do I do this to myself? Why? And they promise, they promise to themselves that next week, they promise to themselves that they are never ever going drinking again. And they make that promise, and they say it with so much conviction, they say it with so much determination at that time of extreme pain and torture when they wake up. And I'm there laughing because I know what's going to happen next Friday night, where they're at and what they're doing. And then Saturday morning, I hear the exact same thing. And how many weeks and months did that happen? We are creatures of habit. I guess in this case, you could almost say we are creatures of dopamine. So maybe some of you know all too well what I'm talking about here. So we have to tip the scales here. We have to really start to understand what is actually going on. So I'm going to go through the coaching framework that I use, and it explains why New Year's resolutions don't work. And there's a very key point, there's a very key principle here that we need to understand. So in terms of the framework, we start with the beliefs, the mindset. And the beliefs and the mindset drives our emotions, what we experience, our emotional state day to day. Then that emotional state determines what our actions are, and often what our non-actions are, what our inactions are, what our procrastinations are. Like that. We're going through certain negative emotions. Like some people, when they go through stress, they actually switch off. They kind of go into the freeze state and they start procrastinating. And the deadline's getting worse and worse and worse, but they just can't deal with the emotions. That emotional state, they can't deal with the stress. And so somebody else who's in that same emotional stress will go off and, go crazy and start doing other things, or, go off on tangents. So we all have default, and they are default. They are default reactions to certain emotional states. We are creatures of habit. So then those actions then lead to the results that we see. It leads to what we're seeing in our life. Now, this is one of the most powerful things about this model. Our results, our results reinforce our beliefs. So if, for example, we think we're going to fail at something, and then we do fail at it, the subconscious mind goes, see, you failed. And it reinforces that belief. It reinforces that belief. It reinforces that belief, which is then why we just say, you know what, I'm not going to write any goals in the first place, because then I can't say I failed at it. Okay, I get it. I get it. And we see this so much going on. I have one relative who's had a gym membership for 2.5 years. And you know what I'm going to say, right? He's never been. And it's an expensive gym. He's paying monthly. He's a very rich guy, to be honest. So that's why he's still managed to afford to keep the gym membership there. And I guess he just wants to have it there because one day, just in case, he has the desire to go. But the point is, he's never been. And the reason why is because going to the gym, in one sense, is at the actions level. It's the third layer down. What we have to do is we have to start 2 layers above. We have to start with the mindset level. That's where the real work has to happen. And I'm going to talk about the mind in a moment. We have to start imprinting the subconscious mind. And only once we get the subconscious mind on our side, then we can talk about, in one sense, the actions level. And the problem with New Year's resolutions, we talk about as a resolution, it's like, I want to quit smoking, and when I start going to the gym, whatever the resolution is, whatever action it is that you want, it's not going to happen until we deal with the mindset first. And without imprinting it into our subconscious mind, you won't see the shift. And that's the key here. So that's a lot of the work. That's what I with my coaching practice, this is the framework I use. And when I'm doing sessions with people, even this session right now, we're working at the mindset level. We always start there. We look at what's going on under the hood, as a car example. So yes, we have to start at the beliefs level. Oops. So let me just explain quickly how the subconscious mind, how the mind is laid out. So if we take take this as the mind, there are 2 parts. So there's the conscious mind, and then there's the subconscious mind. And psychologists have researched and understood that the conscious mind is responsible for up to 5% of our behavior. Only 5%. The subconscious mind is therefore responsible for 90% or more. Even if you just think about which way you turn the tap to get hot water. If there's a tap where you have to turn the handle, one way is cold, one way is hot. Which way do you have to turn? Half the time we don't even know, because we just do it at an automatic level. We do it on autopilot. 95% of the time, we are on autopilot. And that's why we say we are creatures of habit. That's why we say that we promise we're going to do something different tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes in the sense of doing something different. Because whatever we are conditioned to do, whatever the programming is here, that's what we're conditioned to do. So if we want to see change, if we want to achieve that goal that we've never achieved before, we have to start with what's going on here. We have to start the work at that level, not at the actions level, which is where most people start from. So I'll just give you one example. I love these success pictures. You can see them on Facebook, and they just say it so well. Never give up. You can see here in this picture how this guy was so close to achieving his goal, and then he gave up. You can see this guy at the top, he's still digging away, and he's like, you can see his face, he's so determined. He's like, I'm gonna get those diamonds, those riches. So I'll just give you one example. One client, he just moved into his new apartment in February 2024. Now, I started working with him a while back, and about 1.5 years ago, we'd written his story. So I call it writing your story. So when we set goals and it's for the subconscious mind, I'm going to show you how to do that in a little while. I call it writing your story. So we'd written his story, written his goals, and we'd set a target. This was in 2022, we had written this. We'd set the target that he was going to move into his new apartment in February of 2023. So did he achieve his goal? No. Not in 2023, not the target that we had set, but did he achieve his goal in the end? The answer is yes. Because, and we were both talking about this, I mean, we had that aha moment with the realization that the subconscious mind had still imprinted that goal into the mind. Yes, okay, there was shall we say, a delay of 1 year. Okay, fine. But the point is, he still achieved it. And would he have achieved it if we hadn't, first of all, put it in the subconscious mind so that the subconscious mind can start working on it? Because it was a big thing for him to move out. There's many obstacles. You can see here, there's so much dirt before you get to the diamonds. And sometimes it's like that with our life. But once we put it into the subconscious mind, let's go back to the diagram here. If we put the new goal, into the subconscious mind, then what happens is the subconscious mind, because it's responsible for 95% of our behavior, it starts to take effect, it starts to work at it. And it starts to happen, and then you'll have achieved that goal, and then you'll look back at the story and go, oh my God. And when you read it, I love this moment, when you read that story back, and it's like, what you are experiencing right now is pretty much damn near exactly what you've written. It's that moment. And this has happened to me time and time and time again. And yeah, we've created this for so many clients along the way as well. That's why I use this as the framework. It's so powerful. So it's about imprinting it into the subconscious mind. That's a really important thing here. So now I'm going to get you to do something practical, something for you, something real. So how do we choose which goal to focus on? It's explained, it's recommended that we try to focus as far as possible on mainly one goal. Of course, you can have other, shall we say, side goals that are complementary, especially if they're complementary. For example, you can have your health goals as well as the other things, because they're not going to take your energy in different ways. That having more health, having exercise, going to the gym, etc., only increases your energy, which then allows you to do other things. So that's complementary. But doing something like I don't know, wanting to be a lawyer and wanting to be a doctor. Those are two, like, I'm just giving you an extreme example. Those are two quite opposing, shall we say, um, um, goals to want to have at the same time. Maybe you want to be a doctor, and then maybe you want to be a lawyer. You do the courses separately, like that. So how do we choose which one goal mainly to focus on? So I'm going to do this as an exercise. It can be a short-term goal. And the great thing is I've done this recently with many of my clients. We've set up short-term goals. And then what we do is once we've hit those short-term goals, then we define the next goals that we want to hit, and then maybe the next 3 months or something like that. But overall, we've got a goal to achieve for the end of the year. Okay, so how do we choose which goal that we want to do? So the first thing is when you're writing goals, this is really important. We have to write the goals in such a way that it is absorbed, it is imprinted, it is taken up by the subconscious mind. It's about reprogramming the subconscious mind. That's where we've got to start. We've got to start at the mindset level, not at the actions level, at the mindset level. So it's got to be juicy, it's got to be those things. If you write the goal as I want, what that means is, what that tells the subconscious is that you don't have it. I'm going to talk about this in a little while. So we don't want to say I want. We don't want to say I need. I have some clients, and I'm really working on them because they're in this constant feeling of lack. And I need this, and I need that, and I need this, and I need to, I don't know, be married by a certain time, and I need to be this by a certain time, and I need to have this much in my bank account. As soon as you start saying I need, the subconscious mind reads that and goes, oh my God, I'm lacking in these things. Oh my God. And it means the emotions that you then feel are all negative. And how can you then work on actions, at least in a, shall we say, a healthy mindset, if you're always thinking of lack? It's like that whole classic thing, when you're in a relationship, and it may be a very nice relationship, but when that person is always needy, isn't it? You kind of feel repelled by it. It's like, what is with this person? Like, give me some space. It's like they always have to be with you. See, because it's about need. So when the subconscious mind feels a lack, then that causes that. So we want to change that. So when we write our goals, we make sure it's not I want and it's not I need, because it indicates lack. So the manifesting principles, means you are already living it. Now, there's a person called Neville Goddard, who is like shall we say, the godfather of manifesting and the principles. A lot of what I'm talking about today comes from him. He says this: you must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled until your assumption has all the sensory vividness of reality. What he's saying there is that you need to feel it with all your senses. You must imagine that you are already experiencing what you desire. Notice there's no lack here. It's like you already have it. That's the experience we want to give the subconscious. That's how we imprint it into the subconscious, which is responsible for 95% of our behavior. Give it to the subconscious, let it run with it. Great. That is, you must assume the feeling of the fulfillment of your desire until you are possessed by it, and this feeling crowds all other ideas out of your consciousness. That's how intense that feeling. When that reaches, that imprints and empowers your subconscious mind, that's it. Game over. That's how you achieve it. You look at all the successful people, they are doing this to some degree or another. So if you take that one goal, I'm going to talk you through the process of how we're going to do it, how we're going to create a goal where we fulfill this quote by Neville Goddard. So how do we choose which goals? So what I'm going to ask you to do is, some of you might not have pen and paper. Ideally, if you've got pen and paper, or do this on your phone, I want you to write out the answer to all these. So for 2024, so whatever the date is in your mind, but let's say it's either 6 months, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. I earn, and then write that out. And then you're going to write I weigh, and then what's the weight that you want to achieve, or something along those lines. It's basically a health goal. I love. What is it that you love? Is it a person? Is it a thing? I feel. What's the emotional state that you're going through? I wear or I dress. So I dress like a millionaire, whatever. I have, so whatever it is you have. I am, who does it make you? I own, is it property? Is it something? I have achieved that certificate, that you passed that exam, passed your driving test. And then obviously after you pass your driving test, I drive. And then what kind of car is it that you're driving? Or if it's not a car, if you don't have access to a car, you're not, maybe you haven't passed your test, something along those lines, something that inspires you, that attracts you. So I'll give you 2 minutes to write that, to write out the answers to this. So you can use those, write all of those out. So I earn, how much you're earning. And you can't fail here. Okay, so hopefully you've had a chance to do that now. If you haven't, maybe you can finish off afterwards, after the session. Okay, so now if you had a magic wand, if you look at all of the answers to these, if you had a magic wand, and if you could wave that wand and you would be able to achieve that, whatever it is, within the next 24 hours, which one would you choose? Which goal from this list has the greatest impact on your life in terms of whether it's motivation, whether it's something that, and especially something that impacts even other goals too? So just spontaneous, just pick one. Okay. So now, having chosen that one goal, I'm going to ask you now to write out a story specifically regards that goal. Maybe 3 or 4 sentences max Okay, I'll say that again. So you're going to write out a story around that goal, 3 or 4 sentences maximum, but make it like Neville Goddard said. You have to make it as if you're living it right now. You already have achieved it. You are living whatever that goal is. What are you feeling? What are you experiencing? And if in writing that, you're not experiencing excitement or at least joy, then you might be looking at the wrong goal. If it doesn't inspire you like that, I don't know, so I'll pass my driving test. Actually, that's not really that big of a deal or significant to you. Okay, do a different one then. But if you're loving your life and if that joy is spilling into other areas, that's a good sign. That's what we're looking for. So just as an example, I'm going to share mine with you. Oh, and two of the principles are that we have to write the story in the present tense as if you already have it. That's a key thing. Sometimes people write their goals in the future tense. I will have, and or something along those lines. And then, or especially when they say I want or I need. No. So as soon as you write in the future tense, as soon as you write it in some kind of way where it indicates you don't have it, then the subconscious, that's what puts the subconscious mind into lack. So it's really important. We're writing it as if we are living it, as if we have it. Very important. And that's an important step, which is one of the reasons why we may have written goals in the past and not achieved them. We're not talking to the subconscious. We're not getting it into the subconscious here if we write it like that. And then the second thing we want to do is we want to add the reasons why you want that goal. So somebody's written, as a single person, I've written, I love my husband, my soulmate. Do I still write a story around it? Or is it a wrong goal? It definitely is my most important dream. Yeah, that you need to write a story on that one. If that's what brings you to life, if that's what lights you up inside, that's important. And you are going to now create those feelings as if you are in that relationship, and it's a loving relationship. It's such a beautiful exchange that you're having with that person. That's what we want to give to the subconscious. We want to give it that experience. We don't say, I would like, because it means we don't have it. We say, I have. With emotion, feel it, experience it. It's like, wow. It's like you don't want to come out of that experience. That's how it should be. So let me just share with you mine. And obviously, as we go through the weekly wisdoms throughout this year, I'm hoping at some point, let's see what happens, but I'm hoping at some point I'll share with you the achievement of that dream. So this is my goal. This is how I wrote it. Obviously, you can see what it is on the screen. I am driving this Mercedes C-Class convertible, sitting in the freshly cleaned, heated seats. And I can smell that new car smell. Ah, it's such a joy to drive, as it's an automatic, so there's no gears. Thank God. Then I start to hold the button down to open the roof. Notice I'm talking in the present. Then I start to hold the button down and I feel the smoothness of that button. And I hear the sound as the roof now begins to open and fold down into the back. The warm sun streams in. The gentle wind runs through my hair and everything seems brighter. God, I love my life. That's a story. That's not, I want to have a Mercedes C-Class convertible. That's typical goal setting. I want to have this and I want to have that. And we just say what it is. That doesn't move the subconscious mind. That doesn't get imprinted into the subconscious mind. But can you see how that sensory experience in my story, how that immediate subconscious mind grabs that? I feel it lights me up inside. It lights up my subconscious. And like I said, The story is going to be, let's see if I actually achieve it. I haven't got that car yet. I was just seeing it. And yeah, so this is going to be the story as we go on with the weekly wisdom. Hopefully at some point down the line, I'll be able to tell you, but we'll see. Subconscious mind has to. So this is an experiment on myself. And it's also an experiment. I've done this many times in the past, to be honest. But this is more to show you as an example. That's why I'm sharing the journey with you. I'm sharing my journey with you to give you some inspiration. And if you're happy to, you can share the journey with me as well. Yeah, you can share it with me on WhatsApp or on email. But can you see? So please write, if you haven't already started. So from what I've just said there, write your goal. And if you are comfortable, maybe you can just share it in the chat straight, and I can read some of these out. I can give you some hints, tips, guidance. Okay, so how did you find that? I'm going to ask somebody to write it in the chat. I meet him and he approaches me. He asks me to go. I feel like we need to have some some saxophone music here. This is really good. I meet him and he approaches me. He asks me, she didn't put this, but he asked me with his seductive voice to go on a date. I use language like that. We gradually start to fall in love. And very soon after we get married. Okay, so now that you need to put more detail into that. Talk about the process, talk about the falling in love aspect, and start a family. Yeah, wonderful. So how does that feel? Somebody's saying, I loved writing it too, ended it with lots of emojis, felt so real. Great. When I focused on the most desired goal, I started to cry so much, so moved in the heart when I think and feel I have direct somebody's saying I have direct association of God, and they are accepting me. Wow, yeah, that I can imagine would be quite a deep experience. Yes, I am happy when I spend more time with the family. Talk about what you're doing. That's still not enough, and this is what we're talking about. We're too clinical when we write our goals. Oh, I'm really happy when I spend more time with the family. What does it mean spending more time with the family? You spent one more minute, so you've got to spend more time. Is that what makes it? Talk about the experience. I'm sitting with the family, and my son is jumping on me and joking with me like that. Like, what exactly are you doing? My husband is having some banter with me, and I'm answering him back, and we're joking, and the kids are on the floor laughing. Like, talk about the actual experience like that. Talk about it in a more like it was a story. See, that's why we call it a story. I don't actually call this as a goal. I call this as a story. Make it into a story. Something that you can visualize, something that you can experience in your mind's eye, because that is what we're going to do next. So now I'm going to ask you all, having read that story, some of you have written it, already starting to feel tears. and get some goosebumps and experience. That's great. So now I want you to close your eyes. And this time I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to take a nice deep breath and just imagine, picture yourself being there in that situation, that story that you've just written. Picture yourself in that story. It has already come to pass. It is coming to pass. You are living that moment right now. Who else is with you? Look at their facial expressions. Feel what's going on inside of you. Like, just wow. Experience every moment. Make the picture even brighter, even clearer, even more focused, like 4K quality, HD quality. What are you hearing? What are you experiencing? What are you touching? What are you smelling? In that experience right now. You've achieved it. You've achieved that goal. Can you believe it? Like, wow. Such an incredible experience. And you keep telling yourself, it's done. It's done. It's done. Just allow yourself to cry if you need to. Experience exactly what this goal is supposed to experience. And I remember all the reasons why. All the reasons why fulfilling this goal is so amazing, so important to you. Yeah, how good that feels. Now as I count up to 10, we need to come back up to the present moment. But keeping that goal in your heart, keeping that goal very much in the center of your consciousness. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wide awake. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, tell me how you felt. I think we did that for like 30 seconds. Tell me how you felt. Tell me how good that was. In the chat, please. So, just before I give you my concluding words and where some of you are writing in the chat, if you love this experience, then I actually have an online course called the Success Breakthrough Workshop. So this course is take you through this process that we've just been through right now. So it's £199. It takes you through how to write a story. There's some other parts. I'm going to go through 1 or 2 of the other parts in the Weekly Wisdom as well. But this course takes you through each part in detail and gives you the whole picture. So the mind, the beliefs, the emotions, the actions, the results. It takes you through how to write that whole thing. There's one piece that's in the middle that's missing. I'm going to talk about that in another Weekly Wisdom session. But obviously in the Weekly Wisdom, I don't go into so much detail. This will give you the full thing. Then the other piece of the puzzle, so once you've got the story, is how do you use that to then manifest? So there are 5 principles. So I like focus, feel, free, formulate, and then fast action. So how do you use those? How do you use that story to then manifest your dreams? So specifically, it's about attracting financial abundance, that course. So that is £50. Now, just for today, if somebody wants to get that course, wants to get either of those courses, then it's online. You access it whenever you want. You do it whenever you want. You can do it in your own time. That's a great thing. You've got exercises to do in there. You pause the video, you do the extra, just similar to what we did here, and then you'll carry on like that. So it's so beneficial. Many people have used this and achieved, actually manifested things that they couldn't even dream of before. I'll share some testimonials maybe next week. So just valid till Friday. So if you go to the website, I'll send it to you via email. If you go to the website, So it's www.nicheday.com. If you go to the store, you'll see there's a Success Breakthrough Workshop option there. If you can use a discount code 149 off, you'll get both courses for £50 like that. And as a bonus, if anybody gets that within the next 2 days, then you'll get doing the Loving Yourself workshop in March in London and in Birmingham, and you'll get a free ticket to that workshop as well. One free ticket to that workshop as well. So tickets for that would be £35. So you get all of that. Should put that £35. And then one-to-one sessions. And sometimes some of you may already know you have blocks, you have things that need to be worked through. Then one-to-one sessions are £80 per hour, or we sometimes do it as packages, and then you get that cheaper, because even if you go over the time, you still get charged that same amount. So one-to-one sessions, you can contact me via WhatsApp. This is my number. You can contact me via email, or you can use the website. You can see at the bottom here, www.nicheday.com. Most of you know about the website. There's a contact me form, and you can even use that. There's plenty of ways of contacting. Let's make 2024 special. So I will finish off. Sorry. So if anybody wants to if you want to take a screenshot of that, just give you 5 seconds to take a screenshot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Quick 5 seconds. And then concluding words. Go for your goals, reach for the stars, but be more attached to the process. Be attached to doing the work itself rather than the goal, because when you do the work, the goal will come by itself. So, and next week, look out for episode 2. We are going to look at why the comfort zone is your prison house. It's one of the key reasons why we never even if we write that goal and we really put it in there, it's one of the key reasons why we don't and still don't achieve our goal. So yeah, check that out, and we'll look at what to do about it.